drink to make us all uncomfortable.
Alan Cox.
It's gross, it's weird, it's not right, it's not cool.
And there's plenty more where that came from. Back to the Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS.
Thinking about this morning. There's some viral clip of some guy going around, as these frequently do. Some chode who's like, if a girl says she doesn't want to have kids, that's a huge red flag because she's selfish and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, there's a billion other things to take your time when you're living in the city and around people. The reason people are getting knocked up in the sticks, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to create people around them because they're in the middle of nowhere. Just happens to be kids they have to clothe and feed. But they're doing the same thing. They're bored and they're trying to put people around them. They're just ejecting them from their own body.
Well, and that's why small towns generally have horrible drug and crime problems because there's nothing to do.
None of those in the city.
Well, but 13-year-olds start using drugs and stuff like that because there's literally nothing else to do.
I mean,
I feel like in cities, not that there isn't teenage abuse problems, like as far as like drugs and alcohol go, but there's other activities for kids to do around
so
a city.
Much room for activities.
Yeah, but per capita, it might be the same.
What kind of per capita?
There are so many per capitas. It's I don't have the figures in front of me, but depending on what you're talking about.
When you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? But you can look at just about any category, and we're really at the top, meaning positive on a per capita basis.
I guess all the people I know from super small towns are like bad. They were bad kids. They were the ones who were, starting
Well, what does
fires,
that mean, though? Oh, pyromaniacs
and doing
and stuff?
drugs and drinking alcohol and, stealing cars and stuff because there's nothing else for them to do. There's no other outlets.
And my girlfriend is from a small town, and she did all sorts of dumb stuff because they were bored. Yeah.
Yeah, shooting up fireworks, missing a leg.
And we did a lot of dumb stuff.
She got pregnant? Is that what you said?
No, she didn't. She was just saying, she was saying in general. She did eventually get pregnant, but not when she was a kid.
She wasn't a teenage mother?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm not saying that can't exist in a city. I'm not a huge fan of
try that in a small town.
Rural living. Brian's from Chesterland. Okay?
Yeah, he's out there.
It's not like a farm town, but there's a lot more room. And one of his biggest complaints is stoplights. That I could go 30 minutes driving without having to stop. I'm like, what is
Imagine if your complaint is a stoplight.
But here's my point. You don't have to drive 30 minutes to get to anything if you're in a bigger city. The only reason you're nostalgic about that is because that's how long it would take you to get to the grocery store.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But the time you are saving, and again, I'm Team City all the way, but the time you are saving not driving 30 minutes to get somewhere, you're still standing in line behind people, you're waiting. You might not be in a car, but you're still waiting to do stuff, right? You're in a city, there's more people.
I don't know.
All those people are going to do the same things that you want to do because they're fun.
I could definitely...
Chesterland's a tiny town.
I don't think I could... I'd blow my brains out, dude. If I was like having to live on a farm where my next neighbor is 2 miles away and you have to go into town for provisions, like, absolutely not. I'd probably end up going crazy.
Well, you've always been anti-provision anyway.
I know.
You don't want anything provided for you.
You do like a getaway, though, right?
I like a getaway for like 2 or 3 days.
Right.
But even then, I would, like, if we're going to go into like a mountain town or a cabin, I mean, I'm talking like maybe a full weekend. Because then after that, I start to get frustrated when everything's closed at 6 p.m. And I'm like, well, we have to plan dinner at 2:30 in the afternoon if we want to do any kind of an activity today. Otherwise, everything's going to be closed, and we won't be able to go to the grocery store or go get dinner or go do this or go have a drink and listen to music or,
You know what I like about Mary? Easy going.
You know what I learned about myself in sobriety? I am absolutely not.
I know you're
thought
not.
When I was a drunk, I thought I was like the most chill, easygoing, like go with the flow, whatever. And I was like, no, I was just hammered for a decade.
Why does anybody, and I don't know if you can answer this because it's kind of a vague question, but just jumping off what you just said there, why does anybody think that they have a good handle on their personality when they're drunk all the time?
Because it's all you know.
You go, man, I thought I was this when I was drunk. I go, yes, but everyone else, including you, could tell you, well, that's because you're drunk. Once you get sober, you go, oh, this is me.
I didn't know the difference. You
Didn't
get
know
what I'm
the
saying?
difference. Hmm.
I was drunk so often that now that I'm never drunk, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not.
Boy, I'd be angry if I could never drink either. I mean, I don't drink
I'm
much.
not even angry. I'm just
Irritated.
not as no, I'm just not as easygoing of a person. That's not part of my personality. I'm a lot more type A than I ever thought that I was.
And how has that worked against you?
See, this is a disagreement I've had with my therapist on multiple occasions. I don't know that it has. I think being organized and fickle on some matters and, perfectionism can be a positive thing when I have been trying to be convinced otherwise that it's actually a negative thing. I guess I could let things go. Most of my family fights wouldn't occur if I didn't.
Yeah, again,
down on
I
things.
don't. I'm very type A too, but I don't understand the notion of not letting things go. Like, when there's arguments with people, like a significant other or something, it's always been the way I like to do it, is I don't need to get the last word. When you get into an argument with a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or husband, to me, the greatest thing is when you're going back and forth and you let them have the last word, because it's reached this fever pitch and the last things hanging in the air are some awful thing they said to you, and you just let them sit there and hang there. And that's it. You don't need to get the last word in. Now, I'm not talking about the moving on to the solving the problem, but I'm not a guy who needs the last word. I don't understand the notion of not letting something go.
For me,
Because what's the payoff?
I need you to know that you're wrong.
But
And
that
once you
doesn't mean,
admit-
but getting the last word doesn't mean they're wrong.
I don't need to get the last word. I will talk to you until we come to some sort of
But they'll just give
resolution.
up. They won't
That's
be.
fine.
But don't you want to? My thought
What if
is,
they're not
if
wrong?
you want to get the last word, it's so that you can convince someone of your position. If
No.
they just give up, what's the payoff?
I don't care about the last word. That has never been something I've cared about.
I'm not saying last word. I said, well, they'll just give up, and you go, that's fine.
That is fine.
You wanna
As
wear
long
them
as
down.
You understand that you're wrong.
But they don't. They just give up.
Well, to me, giving up is succeeding.
No.
You're giving up. You're bowing out.
No. Yeah,
Which to
that's
me-
giving up.
Is saying I'm wrong.
Have you convinced
giving
your
up on
MAGA
this 'cause
brother
I'm
of
wrong.
anything ever?
I have gotten him to say things like that makes sense, or I didn't see it that way. I'll never convince him that Planned Parenthood is a good place for women's health care. But when I had to have cervical cancer screenings done and I explained how much cheaper it was, he was able to be like, okay, I didn't know that. But he would still never do anything to help that company.
Right. Yeah, the whole not letting things. But are you becoming less that way, do you think?
About letting things go?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better about not getting mad at people for the way that they are. That's something I really struggle with.
I get mad at people for the way they are.
I'm serious. It's a big problem in my life that I will.
Because a lot of people will
some-
get mad at us for the way we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get mad at people in my life, and I know it's how they're going to react. I already know what they're going to say. I already know how they're going to react to a situation. And instead of knowing it and being like, okay, let's prepare for this because we know it's coming, I'm so mad because I wish they would react differently.
That's so exhausting.
It's very exhausting. And it's
Stop
something I
doing it.
need to, it's much, much harder than you think that it is.
Just stop
No,
doing
I
it.
think it sounds really hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard when I know exactly
What a
how
waste of
situation
energy.
is going to go. And I'll talk to whoever in my life and I'll be like, I know this is going to be a fight, or I know they're going to show it'll be little stuff where it's there's one person who's close in my life who is habitually 30 minutes late at minimum.
Well, that's rude.
Any
That's not a weird
event.
thing to be upset about.
But it's been since day one. Since this person has been born, they have been late to everything.
That's rude,
And
though.
I know it's going to happen,
Yeah.
and it bothers me every single time. Every single time that they show up late, I'm really frustrated and really aggravated. But I know it's going to happen, but that's inherently who they are
Why don't you show up late so you'll get there at the same time?
because that's not who I am.
No,
Why
but
don't you
they're
tell
not.
them-
But you know you're going to be waiting.
Why don't you tell them to be there at
I've done it.
You
I've
done
tried
that?
to tell this
And that-
person.
did it work?
30 minutes
Oh,
prior.
No. Where like if dinner reservations are at 7, I'll tell them to be there at 6:15.
Yeah.
I'll get there at 6:45. They'll show up at 7:30.
An hour and 15
dude,
minutes
I'm telling
late.
you,
They're
it's impossible.
They see through you.
It's impossible.
You've zigged and they've zagged.
See, this is the thing. Like,
I hate tardiness, man.
like I'm also with that. Like, I like to be on time. I like to be.
5
I don't-
minutes early is on time, Bill.
Yeah,
on time is late.
I don't like making people wait for anything. Like,
No.
that's very rude to me. But also, if someone is that frustrating to me, I just will be like, okay, I'm not gonna keep going out of my way for this person.
Well, this sounds like a family member, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
even for
Yeah.
that, I'll just be like, yeah, just
See-
I just don't. I'm not gonna. If they're just annoying to be around, family means
Nothing.
it means something, but it doesn't.
You had
mean,
nothing.
doesn't
You had
really,
nothing to
though.
do with
it doesn't mean that I'm going to keep having this person in my life and frustrate me.
But you're not gonna prioritize a family member at all. Like you're not gonna give your family special treatment. I feel like you treat your family the same way you treat your friends, the same way you treat a stranger. Where it's like if you frustrate me 3 times, I'm never talking to you again, regardless of how close we are.
Not necessarily, because I still. I mean, if that
I like
were
the
the case,
notion of that.
I wouldn't-
Frustrate me thrice.
I would
and you
never
are
talk
ejected
to my
from
parents
my life.
again. But
Yeah.
I'm not. I just. I have boundaries with people, and I go, okay, I'm not gonna go out of my way to keep trying to accommodate these certain things. And it's not like my family's hard to deal with, but I also keep them at a, like everybody. If people are gonna make me mad, I'm just be like, oh, I'm not gonna go out of my way to try and make
Okay,
this
what
person
if
part
it's
of my life.
something about like the way that they are as a person? Like Brian is a very particular. He has OCD. He's a very particular person. So I
wouldn't date Brian.
get super frustrated when we argue.
Much to
with-
Brian's
For a
chagrin.
lot more reasons than just the OCD, to be perfectly honest.
when we're like doing things like getting ready to pack for a trip.
Yeah.
I know he is incredibly particular about the way he needs to pack and how the process of it, and even to the point of how it looks inside the suitcase.
It's a series of you taking deep breaths, isn't it?
It's a lot of me having to walk away.
Yeah.
Because
see,
I'm
that
like,
wouldn't
none
bo-
of this matters. It does not matter what the inside of your suitcase looks like.
That wouldn't bother me because that's him doing his own thing, and if he's taking the time and doing it, and he still shows up on time,
Yeah. Right.
I don't care how he packs his
Yeah.
bag, and I'd probably just be like, pack mine too.
Hey,
I don't
where
care.
are my packing cubes, honey?
Yeah, I'm a jam stuff in there.
Yeah, he
That
is.
would
Yeah.
bother me too.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing of perfectionism is that you want everyone to do things the way that you do it because you think your way is the best.
But why?
And 90% of the time it's not.
But
'cause
why does the way other people do things, like just do the things the way you want to and let other people do things the way they want
That's
to?
the whole problem with it.
Right, but why don't you just listen to me?
Because you're so annoying.
You
Because, like this.
swore
Like
at me.
this. I almost did. Dude, I had to stop myself because you do things like this and I know you're going to do it. I know you're going to try to get under my skin over something stupid every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know better than to let it happen. But you're so annoying and aggravating that it ends up happening anyway. And I'm like, why can't Bill just not be who he is?
But why can't you just listen to me?
But also,
you're
why
wrong.
not? What
no.
happened?
How am I wrong if what I'm asking you to do is what you're trying to achieve?
Because I don't want to hear it from you.
But what
am I-
happened? Oh, don't kill the messenger. It's not the message;
Plus, I
it's the
already know
messenger.
it. I already know it.
So then just do it.
But
don't
what
need to hear it
happened?
from you.
What happened to work smarter, not harder?
What do you mean?
Well, people that I don't necessarily think are all that bright or what, you can learn something from everybody that you can kind of apply to your own situation and go, wow, I would not have considered that. It's almost like they stumbled onto something amazing in their stupidity. And you go, oh, I can apply that somehow. It would have never occurred to me, but that's actually pretty interesting rather than this is how I do it. This is how everybody should do it.
I don't know because I have a mental disorder. I don't know what to say. I've tried, dude, and it's crazy to
Well, a
me.
lot of people texting me agree with you.
I mean, when my therapist told me I had perfectionism and that it was detrimental to my life and the reason why I'm so frustrated and on edge all the time, and I told my family group chat that, every single person was like, yeah, how did you not know this? Like, that's why you do A, B, and C. That's why you're always all over us because of this, that, or the other. That's why you're the one always planning the trips. And I'm like, I mean, I thought it was a good quality to have, to be like,
Well, I would
thinking
look-
that
It
I'm
can be.
helping.
But
It
I would-
can
I'm
be.
helping.
But if you're the outlier, then you're going to be the one that's kind of ostracized. Even if another member of your family was exactly like you, exactly the way you wanted them to be, you would still be at odds with each other because the other one's not doing it the way they want them to do it. So it's like you're always just going to be somehow like ostracized from that group.
Listen,
it just sounds like it's exhausting.
It's a problem. And I'm the first person to say it's annoying, it's frustrating, it's aggravating, it's something that is incredibly hard to change.
All of this energy that you could be focusing on your creativity, all of this energy you're throwing off on other crap that you simply cannot control.
Yeah.
Instead of funneling it to the one thing that's arguably the most important in your life.
Well, but I mean, I think that's an oversimplification.
Yeah, I'm sure
because
it is.
It's not like
That's my skill,
I can take my frustration from my brother and turn it into video editing. Like that's not. I don't think that's exactly how that works.
Well,
that's like two different parts of your brain.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
I
you
still
don't-
consider
you can
it
relieve
it's wasted energy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You can relieve that
I agree.
frustration, and that's the goal that you're working on in therapy is trying to figure out how to not care about these things and how to
put
not
it into practice.
how to not project onto people and be like, well, do it this way. This is the best way to do it. Why, and that's, like you said, very difficult to do.
some
a
people
very-
some people take out their frustrations by masturbation. I mean, sometimes you just need to
Boy,
shut
those
it.
people are sinners and disgusting.
And she doesn't want to picture you doing it, quite frankly.
Because she's picturing you doing it wrong. That might be another reason you don't like the picture.
Actually,
Yeah.
that might be it.
Like,
Why
that's
are-
not how you do it.
Why are you using French grip?
You gotta have one down and one up the top.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a more about putting it
Counterclockwise
into
circles.
practice.
Yep.
Just putting it into practice and letting people do their own things. Where it's like, listen, this as much as I think this is negatively affecting me, it's not. At the end of the day, the way Brian packs his suitcase does not negatively affect me. in
Now, you're
least
not the
bit.
suitcase in this situation, right? It's not.
No.
Oh, okay, good.
If he
That's
were,
not how you pack my bag, Brian.
If you were packing my bag incorrectly, then that would be a much bigger deal.
Uh-huh.
That's never been an issue.
Hey, we always welcome direction if we're doing something wrong in that arena.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
listen, it's as long as you feel you're moving in
You
a positive
wanna-
direction.
Not that you need another example, but like little things will really aggravate me.
Yeah, we got
my
it.
My roommate, when she wipes down the counter, she puts the towel hanging over top of the faucet head. So that way, when you go
Oh.
to use the faucet head, the towel will get wet.
Why don't you move?
I have moved it
towel.
every time I have ever walked into the kitchen. I take the towel and I fold it up and put it next to the sink.
No,
And
no, no.
Every time I walk
use
back
this.
in, she
Use
puts
the
it back on top.
Use the faucet. Put it back on the faucet.
Why would I put it back on the faucet?
Because that's
I'm
where
gonna have to
she's gonna
take
put it.
I'm going to have to take it off to use the faucet. She turns the faucet on with the towel on top of it. And then I'm like, now
Oh, I
your towel's
see.
wet. It's
Oh.
insane to me.
Have you?
She's
ever talked to her
getting
about
towel
it?
debris in her water.
I've asked her. I was like, why do you put the towel up there like that? And she's like, that's just like how I always did it. My mom did it that way. I've always done it like that. I was like, yeah, but then it's in the way when you want to use the
Why
water.
doesn't she use paper towel?
I don't know, man.
Throw it away.
But every time I walk
Who
into the
wants
kitchen,
stinky,
I take
nasty
it off,
towels wet?
take it off, fold it next to it, and every time I come back 10 minutes later, it's hung right back over the top of the thing. And I'm like, whatever, we're just going to do this dance until one of us dies. We're
Maybe
just
you
gonna
have a
be-
poltergeist and it's not her.
I'm pretty sure it's her.
She just agrees with how the poltergeist is arranging your kitchen.
You know, it's a simple solution for that. Live it in Cleveland where you can afford to live alone.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Oh, Bill hangs his wet towel wherever he wants.
I hang. The towels go on the towel rack on the oven. Like, that's where they go.
We have one there. That's
Yeah.
for your hands.
Yes.
This is the one that she wipes down like the counters with.
I don't like.
I don't
that.
know why you'd put that. I don't
like to have a standing towel
No.
that you keep using to wipe down
I
the
don't
counters.
use it.
Yeah.
I don't use it. She
Yeah.
uses it.
a
I move it out of
mildewy
the way.
towel.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, good luck with all that.
I'm on your side on that one.
Hey, appreciate it.
I got a break. 35192 on a text. You can watch live if you like at AlanCoxShow.com.
The Alan Cox Show on